Hi guys, I know we're going to meet at 8 o'clock tonight for a Zoom meeting, but I also am going to record here and there anything that I actually feel that needs a little bit more clarification outside of the PowerPoint and outside of the actual textbook. So you're going to get a whole bunch of YouTube videos, I guess, over the next 5 weeks. I'm sorry, but that's how I operate. The Zoom meetings is for me to really touch base with you and to at least collaborate a little bit, talk about our projects. They will be defined and explained quite clearly. In fact, tonight in Zoom, we're going to talk about the first project. You actually don't have a final exam for this class. Yay. See, there's good news. But you have a paper. It's not on anything you've done before, I promise. It is the 12 mechanisms of change that we're going to talk about in probably Friday's class. So I will talk about them in detail because that is what your paper is about. It is actually about a Jack Welch article. He worked for GE, and I'll discuss it a little bit more on Friday. And Friday, in fact, I'll go in quite detail. I have an entire PowerPoint presentation just built on your final project because I want to be very clear as to what your project is. You also, in lieu of a presentation that you're going to be able to do, because I'm sure that we won't be meeting. I think our last executive order was till May 15th, which the next week we're done. So I'm assuming that we're not going to be meeting in class. I don't know that. Please don't use that as final information. I'm just saying that if we're on lockdown until the 15th at least, so far, I am going to make you have a final project as a PowerPoint about what's happening in our economic system. And I will also discuss that with you in quite detail. But first things first, I just very clearly wanted to go over the PowerPoint. I have it below, so if I'm looking below, I'm sorry, I'm just scrolling through my PowerPoint. I wanted to talk about, first of all, I guess for the very first session, I promise this video won't be longer than 10 minutes, but you will be, in addition, if you watched my introduction video, talk to you about how Canvas is built for me, how I actually have it organized. But in addition to that, I'm going to be releasing these videos. So I want to talk about, first of all, since today is class 1, I want to talk about what is org behavior. Do you even know what that means? So if you read through our chapter and you looked over the PowerPoint, org behavior is an interesting thing because I think most of you think that, what does that even mean? What is org behavior? We already talked about psychology was the study of how individuals behave. Sociology, when you took sociology, that's the study of groups. The study of org behavior is how it kind of ties in both of these factors. Actually, if you look at your PowerPoint, I've got it on here. It ties in anthropology, economics, for sure economics, ethics, because we talk about character, we talk about culture, we talk about ethics, management, org theory, political science, psychology, sociology, statistics, and vocational counseling. So it ties in psychology and sociology together because it's the study of how the individual person operates in a work setting, basically. Again, sociology was study of groups, psychology is study of individuals, but this is a study of how the individual behaves when he or she is working in a group setting at work, whether it's a small work team or a large work team, and it's about the whole culture. It's org behavior, it's organizational culture, how the actual company, how the company itself creates an entire culture of how they treat their people, how their people feel when they go to work. So it's a pretty broad spectrum topic, but we're going to cover a lot of things, and I think you're going to like it for the most part. I love org behavior. It's quite interesting to me. So I wanted to talk to you about the more complicated things. There are some of them in your PowerPoint that I have included that were not in your textbook, that's because I predate your textbook. I was before your textbook. So I pulled in a few things from our older textbook that I think that you really need to know. For example, the first one is what we call Contingency Perspective. This one's a really important one. When we deal with customer service, and I know that you've had a lot of classes that talk about customer service, but when we talk about customer service, the contingency perspective says that your company should hire you and thoughtfully hire you enough to have said that not every single situation is going to call for a canned response, a singular response. It's not always going to be that way. We're not always going to handle it this way, because not every situation warrants handling it in a specific situation. And that one gets a little bit fish, but that's all. It's basically saying that there is no right or wrong way to handle every particular situation. There is no one response that can handle every single person, every issue that you're going to come up with. Again, if we're looking at a cultural, behavioral perspective here, if you are a supervisor and you're running your own company of 20 to 30 people, you're probably going to have to understand this philosophy very well, because every single time there is a human resource problem, every single time there's a behavior problem, it might require a different approach. And that's all the contingency perspective actually is there to talk about. So I'll talk about anything else in future videos. So look forward to them, and I will see you guys at 8 p.m. I'll see you later. Bye guys. Stay safe.